Welcome back. This week's going to look a little bit different. It is Worldwide Week here at Wooddale Church, and we are going to celebrate that in the 5th and 6th grade. And so you're going to hear stories of impact from around the world from Philip and the way that he reaches people for the gospel. Now, I don't want to spoil the surprise, so let's get into it. Hey, we're here with Philip, and we are excited to celebrate Worldwide Week and hear stories of impact from around the world and right here in Minnesota. So, Philip, tell us a little bit about yourself, about your family, and
Yeah. Well, what's more important is about the sailor. We should know about the sailor.
Yeah.
The sailor's favorite ice cream is root beer floats.
All right.
And the sailor's favorite TV show is Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
All right. Yeah.
And as far as me, well, I'm a global partner. I work with Steiger, and I have a wife, 3 kids. We live here in the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
And we take marionettes like the sailor all over the world, and we have a husky and 4 chickens. So we enjoy that kind of crazy life, I guess.
All right. So it sounds like it's a busy life.
It's a busy life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Philip, can you just tell us a little bit? So you said you do marionettes, but what does that look like as you go around the world and reach people for the gospel?
Well, as you said, I'm 4th generation in my family to use art and performance art to present the gospel. So I grew up doing this, living in a camper and traveling around the United States. So I learned puppetry from a young age, which is kind of maybe a blessing or a curse. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
But so I got into theater and puppetry again in my adult life, just as a composer, working in theater, seeing it being used to present a lot of different messages and philosophies in the art scene in Minneapolis. And so then I got inspired to start my own show. So we have a suitcase theater, a suitcase or a toy theater, a marionette street theater that we use to go all over the world and bring a message of hope to fringe areas and places you would never expect to see a show, places that are just maybe having people that are down and out, or shelters, camps, lots of different crazy places, orphanages. And we have our show in over 10 languages and have presented it in about 15 different countries. So, we've seen God do a lot of amazing things, and it's an exciting, thrilling life to be used by God to creatively bring the gospel all over the world.
Sure.
And, we get to hang out with crazy people like you and this guy right here.
And the sailor.
Yeah, and the sailor. Yeah.
Do you have a certain place that you love going more than maybe the rest?
Oh, wow. Well...
Sorry, that's probably a bad way to put it, but...
Right. Yeah, I don't like certain places at all. No, for different reasons. Right? So maybe like the food would be amazing in some places, but not so much other places.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Or no. We started a marionette theater in Istanbul, Turkey.
Oh, yeah.
Where we have a team that is actually still doing stuff right now, and they're recording it, presenting it with video all over the Muslim world, Turkish-speaking Muslim world. We have a team there that's, we love it there. We go there as often as we can. I love the orange juice there. It changes flavors in your mouth.
What?
From like bitter to sweet.
Oh.
Or sweet to bitter, one of the two. But it's 3 distinct flavors.
Okay.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. Poland, we've probably spent a couple of years in Poland collectively. It's a high street performance culture, so what we do fits in really well there. And we've just developed lifelong friendships in Poland as well.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to do what we do in presenting the gospel with friends.
Sure.
Yeah. So we go to Poland quite often. And Brazil is the same. It's got a crazy culture, very creative culture, very just intense life. I think I come close to dying like every time I go to Brazil.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun.
Okay.
And the beaches are beautiful.
Sure.
So again, a lot of friends there as well,
Yeah.
and what we do fits in really well in Brazil as
All right.
well. Yeah.
Cool. Well, you travel all around the world, and what is maybe one story or two stories of impact that you have seen through what you do?
Well, as you know, right now we can't travel around the world.
Right.
We're here. We're homebound, and so we're in a different season right now. So I've been doing a lot of preparation and building and that kind of thing in my dungeon like office at home. But then all of a sudden, some neighbor called me and he's like, "Hey, I've got some tomatoes for you." And I don't need any tomatoes. I got my own garden. And so I suggested that he brings it to the encampment across the street.
Okay.
Because of COVID, there's a lot of people who have lost their homes and are struggling in that way. And so there's these camps all over the city. And there's one across the street from where I was living. And he said, well, I said, "You should bring it over there." And he said, "Why don't you bring it over there?" So I went over there with my tomatoes, my 3 tomatoes, and my husky, and we met the founder of this movement, and the founder of this camp, and she suggested that we do our show right there.
Yeah.
And so we did, and that opened the door for these conversations and praying with people and starting a Bible study in the camp and helping some people get out of the camp, off the streets. And then starting to talk with officials and the neighbors as a fellow neighbor myself.
Yeah.
Building relationships and healing the relationship between the people who were encamped there and the neighbors who didn't know what to think about the situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's more than a puppet show,
Yeah.
and it's cool to see God using it locally. In times of stress and unrest like we see right here in Minneapolis, and that we're flexible.
Yeah.
We don't have to just be bummed out about plans that were broken, but we can be open to see what
Yeah.
God wants to do in despite of that.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know we talk here about having something here, near, and far, and Philip's involved in all 3 of those. And right now he's focused on the here, but we've heard stories that he's been afar. So here's a burning question in my head right now that we didn't prep, but I'm gonna lay it
Okay.
out there.
All right.
How hard is it to work the sailor?
The sailor. Well, my wife does the sailor manipulation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's too hard for me.
Okay.
But I think if you've got good fine motor skills, like
Yeah.
you play an instrument,
Yeah.
then
Sure.
you can probably do marionettes.
All right.
So luckily I married my wife who was a natural at
Yeah.
marionettes, and she just picked it up right away.
Wow.
And I was doing marionettes originally, and I used to, I don't know, I did puppets as a kid, and I thought it was cool then.
Sure.
And then when I grew up, I realized I don't know if it was. So I got
Yeah.
into sports.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was puppets that actually helped me find my wife.
Okay.
In the end. So don't discredit.
No, yeah.
Sports may not be what helps you find your
Yeah.
future wife.
There you go.
Or your future husband. It may not be rock and roll. It might be puppets.
Might be something you never thought of.
Yeah. So she does the puppets. I do
All
the
right.
music.
Cool.
And together we can present the show, The Sailor in the Boat.
All right.
Yeah.
The sailor in the boat. Well, I know I'm only good with the puppets that go like this. That's about all I can do.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I was going to mention my mom, so she used to make those kind of puppets,
Yeah.
the hand puppets,
Yeah.
like Jim Henson style.
Right. Yeah.
And she worked in a church for a long time as a children's pastor, and
Yeah.
she made a puppet to just to look like many different people.
Okay.
And I wish I was that talented.
Yeah.
Or otherwise, I would make a puppet that looks like you.
Right.
But this guy,
He's close.
he's close.
Yeah. He's getting there.
Yeah, he's close.
Yeah.
He's good.
We just got to get a little more gray in his beard.
Yeah, well, maybe
Yeah.
a little bit. You should wear a sailor hat, and
There
then
we go.
It would, I think
we can make it happen.
It might pass.
Yeah. All right. Hey, great to be with you and to hear these. I hope you're inspired by hearing stories of impact, all here, near, and far. And pray for Philip. Pray for his ministry in Minneapolis, in the homeless encampments. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you again.